Hey everyone, it's Allison. Welcome to the Tiny Herd, where we talk about everyday pet care for guinea pigs, rabbits, and other small pets. For today's video, I'm going to be making over some of the guinea pig cages. I showed in a previous haul that I got brand new white grids from Cavi, and I also have some new coroplast sheets to make new bases for some of the cages. So today we're actually going to be redoing 3 of the CNC cages. I'm basically going to take you guys through the entire process of making a CNC cage and showing you guys the final product of the new cages in the room. I was planning on waiting to redo the cages until we moved everyone into the new pet room, but we have to do some remodeling to have the new pet room, and a lot of that's not going to get done until the spring of 2022. So the plastic in Jellybean and Georgie's cage just drives me absolutely insane. So I just want to go ahead and get this done. The cages will all be done and can just be moved whenever we do the new pet room. So we're going to do this today. I'm going to stop talking and go ahead and jump into this because this might be a long video. Alright, so coming into the pet room, all the cages are clean. I cleaned them yesterday. So I'm going to basically just talk you through what we're going to do. So first I think I'm going to come in and put all the new grids on, basically just replace the ones that are there. I'm not sure, I guess I'm going to get their playpen out and do it like one cage at a time. That's not very convenient though. So I think what I'm going to do is get the playpen out and set it up for a floor time. Go ahead and start with Johnny and June's cage here and go ahead and just do their entire cage, like cut the plastic and get it ready to go, redo the grids. Otherwise, I'll be putting pigs back and forth on floor time. So I'm just going to go cage by cage. So we're going to do Johnny and June first. And then obviously the girls' cage doesn't need anything done. And then for these cages, so Jellybean and Georgie will be getting a brand new piece of plastic because you can see this one doesn't go all the way down their cage because it's a 2x4. So they'll be getting a new piece and obviously new grids. And then for Neville and Ron, they're going to get that 2x4 piece of plastic in their cage because they don't currently have plastic in their cage at all. Neither do Johnny and June. So it should work fine. There's no end, obviously, there's no up piece. I don't know. You guys know what I mean. There's no side piece on this end because I cut it off to be flat, but there is coroplast back there, if you guys can see, because these are 2 cages of boys, so I didn't want them to fight through the bars, so that will be fine. There's a divider in there anyway. So that is my plan. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Johnny and June's cage and get the floor time area set up. Okay, so Johnny and June are out here. I'm just going to let them chill while I work on everything else. They should be fine. I'm going to get them a water bottle, but other than that, they are good to go to have a little bit of floor time. Okay, so how I think I'm going to do this is I'm just going to go ahead and tear this all down. So this divider is separate, but it is zip tied to their cage. So I might just leave these grids till last and then build one piece. We'll figure that out, but we're gonna go ahead and tear this down. Alright, so this is where we're at. I have all of the grids built. I haven't zip tied them yet. They're pretty sturdy on their own, but I'm going to put just at least one zip tie on each one just to be safe, just to make me feel better. So if you guys notice, I did realize that part of the reason I was going to redo cages is because I felt like my previous grids were really flimsy. Well, I figured out that actually the reason that this does this is actually because the piece of melamine that we used for the table is actually a little bit bowed in the middle. So we probably need to put a table leg under there, which I don't have a table leg right now because the back is not as bad. So to deal with that, what I'm planning on doing, and I'll show you guys this when I do it, is when I put the coroplast base in, I'm gonna poke some holes in it and then zip tie this to the coroplast so that it's not wiggling around like that. And then we'll get another table leg to put under there because I don't want that to keep bowing and get worse. For this divider section, before I had like the cage built and then I just had two separate grids going across and then like these were zip tied into like the middle of the other grids. I'm just gonna build this like a normal CNC cage, so like these are just connected at the corners, and put the plastic in, because once the plastic is in, this is gonna be way too heavy for them to try to push. I mean, right now it's pretty, I mean, I don't think they'll be able to push it because there is a little bit of a gap here and in the back, because this cage is 30 inches wide and these are only 14 inches across. So there's like a little bit of a difference, but I think it should be fine. I mean, obviously they can't like get out of that or anything, but I don't think it's really necessary to clamp that on there. I haven't decided yet. For now, I'm just going to build it and then I'll see what I think once the plastic is in. So now we're going to go do the plastic and I will show you guys that process. So whenever I am getting ready to do the plastic for a CNC cage, I always get a tape measure and I measure between the like connectors that are connected at the bottom, because I don't like my plastic to sit on top of those connectors. So make sure to measure from like a corner side because there's not going to be as much flexibility there. So I measure from one connector to the other from the width, and then I did one connector to the other for the length. And I just kept those measurements in mind because that is what I'm going to need to cut out my piece of coroplast. So now I am moving on to cutting the actual plastic itself. So the first thing I'm doing is going down the long side and marking 3 inches from the edge. I like the sides of my coroplast pieces to be about 3 inches tall so that it holds things in, but the piggies still have a lot of room to look out and kind of just get airflow, that sort of thing. So I do 3 inches and then I just use my long yardstick to draw a line all the way down. I just find it a lot easier to cut it if I just have a line to follow instead of trying to, you know, match up little notches that I've drawn on there. So that is what I do first. I find it a lot easier to do this process with a yardstick, not just a tape measure. So I have a nice metal yardstick that I use for this process because I can measure with it as well as use it as a straight edge. So that's really nice. The next thing I'm going to do is mark out the actual width of my cage. So measuring from the 3-inch line that I drew, I will measure across the width that I need for my cage. For this one, it ended up being about 26.5 inches to be a good size to sit within the connectors of the grids themselves. So I'm just marking that out and I will draw a straight line all the way down that as well so that I have a good guide to follow when I'm cutting with my box cutter. And just a tip really quick, I prefer to use a box cutter for this because it's much easier to score with, and make sure you have a fresh blade because that'll make your process so much easier if you have a fresh blade. So now I'm marking out the length that I need. For this, I think it ended up being about 67.5 inches to fit inside the grids that I had. So I marked that out as well. And then I am going to go ahead and start scoring this. So if you have never made a CNC cage before, when I say you want to score it, basically you want to cut through just one layer of the plastic. So coroplast is basically 2 layers. It's like cardboard, like corrugated cardboard, but it's made out of plastic instead. So you only want to cut through one layer, not cut through all the way. And once you have coroplast in your hand, this makes a little bit more sense, but this is why I recommend a box cutter. You can keep the blade really tiny, like you can keep it inside the actual cutter so that you're not cutting super deep through, and that can help you keep from actually cutting all the way through on accident. This is also why I like having an actual line to follow, because it can be really hard to freehand a line matching up little notches. So I'm just going to score this entire piece and then figure out what I need to do for kind of configuring the tabs on the side. So this is gonna be hard to explain, but basically you do want to like cut in one of the corners, or in each corner you want to cut one of the sides of the corner. That's not really going to make any sense. Hopefully when I do that you guys will understand, but you basically want to make tabs so that you can wrap them around and tape them to the other side of the coroplast so that it all stays together in like a box shape. So here I am also adding 3 inches to the other side of the bottom, which I didn't originally do. So I just measured another 3 inches out from that original length that I had cut. And then I am just adding a tab here since it was kind of like a weird end of the coroplast. So at this point I am cutting all the way through. If you are doing this on carpet, do not cut all the way through your coroplast onto your carpet. I definitely cut some of my carpet on accident and I was not pleased with that. It wasn't bad, but don't do this on carpet. Also, if you are a child or this is not something safe for you to be doing, ask an adult to help you or somebody that is going to have a better time doing this. Don't hurt yourself, especially using a box cutter. So here you might be able to tell what I'm talking about with the tab, because I'm going to actually cut out a piece of the back that I don't want to be overlapping, and you can see the tab there. So I did cut all the way down so that it wrapped around kind of like the edge of a box. So hopefully that makes sense. And then I use my white duct tape so that everything matches to tape everything down really, really well so it all stays together, holds together. This way it's just all nice and waterproof. It's just one piece and I don't have to worry about it coming apart or anything like that. And it all has one nice cohesive look since I'm using the white duct tape. So that is pretty much how to make a CNC cage base. I did leave the back to be much taller since these are going to be against the wall to keep stuff from falling back there and make it easier to clean. You could always measure out the 3 inches and have it be the same all the way around. I used to do that in all of my cages, and now this time I am trying this for the first time, leaving the back much taller just because it is such a pain to get hay and everything out from behind the back parts of cages. So that is how you build a CNC cage coroplast base, and I'm going to take this and put it into the actual grids now. Okay guys, and we are done with cage number 1. So I decided to leave the back taller. It's like the same height as the grids, and it is zip tied on there, if you can see that. Just to kind of protect the wall and to keep stuff from falling back behind there, because it's always a pain in the butt to clean back there. So I just thought that would be a little bit better protection. I might cut it down a little bit. Well, that'll look weird if I move it, so I was thinking about cutting it down so they had more light, but I mean, they have the whole window, so it's whatever. And then in the front, it is zip tied on to the coroplast, which it's still a little bit, but it's much sturdier because I kind of like pushed it down to the table and then zip tied it on, so I shouldn't have any problems hanging a water bottle on here. It's much sturdier than the cage that I had before, so I'm glad I decided to do that. And I'm just leaving this as a standalone cage. It's not attached anywhere down there because this is good and heavy and sturdy, and there's no way they're going to be able to move that or anything like that. So this should be good. I'm going to go ahead and set it back up and put the babies back in. Okay, so here is an overview of Johnny and June's cage. I am going to go ahead and put them back in and then start working on the other 2 cages over there. I'm really not going to show you the whole process because that would just make this video super long, but I'll do like a time lapse and show you guys my progress and all of that. So I'm going to put the little babes back in their cage and get working. Alright guys, so it's still a bit of a mess in here, but we are done. Here is Georgie and Jellybean's cage. I did it the same way that I did Johnny and June's, so they have the taller plastic on the back so that stuff doesn't fall back there because it's really hard to clean back there. And they actually have the plexiglass grids from Guinea Pig Cage's store on the front there. So theirs looks good. And then I used the piece of coroplast from Georgie and Jellybean's cage. Easy, babe. Somebody just sneezed. That was a 2x4, so this was the 2x4 piece that had been in Georgie and Jellybean's cage. I cleaned it really good, and then it fit perfectly in there. So they actually can see more of the outside now. So I really like how it all turned out looking. Show you guys their cages. And then here is the other side of the room. And we are all done. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed getting to see this little mini makeover in the pet room. All of the products and relevant links will be down below in the description box. And make sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as well. I post more content out there all the time and give updates and that sort of thing. So those will be linked down below. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I make new videos every Tuesday and Friday. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.